Here we go. We are test riding the 2024 Harley-Davidson Street Glide.
I am on the 2024 Road Glide.
All right. We're street gliding, boys and girls.
Something I noticed right off the bat that I enjoy is I turned the bike on. It had been turned off, obviously, and I turned it on and it was in sport mode. It doesn't reset every time you shut the bike off.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
It's smooth. I dig it. Suspension's well damped.
Yeah, once you get rolling, it actually is pretty darn smooth. I just went over a section of I'm hitting all the potholes kind of on purpose just to see what it feels like, and it's not bad.
You can tell from back here that it just soaks that right up. That's an update for 2024. They've added some suspension travel, an inch, I believe. It's up from 2 to 3, and they redamped, revalved, and retuned the suspension. Oh man, it's got the Harley signals. Right is on the right bar and left is on the left bar.
Oh, I don't know how to work this contraption.
And when if you want to turn it off, you just click the right button again.
Oh, you just hit the same thing again?
Yep.
All right. Now we know.
Dips through the corner really well.
Yeah, it's feeling really well planted in the corners. It's been pretty well dampened on the suspension. Overall, the bumps and everything so far. I mean, we're getting on Interstate 840 here in Murfreesboro, and if anyone in this area knows where that is, it's a notoriously bumpy section of interstate. Lots of potholes and different changes in pavement. So this is actually feeling quite nice. My seat is really comfortable too. I'm really digging this so far.
The seat cushion is updated.
For 2024, there's been a lot of updates to this motorcycle, both the Street Glide and the Road Glide. I'll let Caleb talk about some of the engine details and stuff in a second, but let's start off with just the ergonomics. Brand new seat options, very comfortable. It's quite cushy on the derriere. We also have new fairing options. So the headlight has been redesigned on both bikes in the front fairing, and they've gone completely LED with all of the lighting. So a big upgrade as far as that's concerned. They also have a redesigned air vent system coming through the front fairing. So there's actually an air vent that runs through the headlight. So it's kind of a cool design, a little bit different for this year.
It's definitely a love it or hate it as far as the looks go, but I like it. I like it. A lot of people have been complaining about the new design, but I think it looks good.
I think it looks better in person than it does on the photos.
100%. I'm not gonna lie, I'm jealous of your non-ape hanger bars.
Yeah, this bike has kind of more standard bars on it, but I'm not a big fan of the like ape hanger style handlebars on a faired motorcycle. If it was a sort of a naked front end, it'd be a little different, but
the transmission is better than Harley's that I've ridden in the past, I can say that.
Yeah, so far, and just for perspective, you guys, Caleb used to have a Harley at one point, but aside from that Sportster that you had, Caleb, and the Pan America, which I've test ridden, I've not spent much time on Harleys at all. I mean, there's been very few times I've gotten to ride a Harley. Now, I've spent quite a bit of time on some of the Indian cruiser bikes, so I'm used to a big bagger style bike with front fairing and all that stuff. We've done some trips on the Indian Challenger, the Indian Chief. I used to work at an Indian dealer, so I'm very familiar with those. It's not totally abstract for me, but as far as Harleys go, I don't have a lot of experience riding Harleys, so far my first experience is pretty darn good. I'm enjoying this a lot. This is quite nice.
So I do have a good bit of experience on most Harleys. I've worked in a dealership as a mechanic, and just generally had a lot of friends that ride Harleys. And I've got quite a few miles on the older Road Glide, like probably 2010 or so. And this is a vast improvement. It's the motor is way snappier. For this year, it's got liquid cooled, water cooled heads, I should say, and a redesigned airbox and intake runners. And that, with the boost and displacement, we've gained about 3% over last year's model, horsepower wise. I think it's 105 horsepower now, 130 pound-feet of torque, and you definitely feel it. It's a big bike. It weighs over 800 pounds, but that said, it moves that 800 pounds. You can definitely feel that 130 pound-feet of torque. And through these little S-curves here, handles good, not dragging or scraping nothing.
Yeah, that felt really nice going through those corners.
I still don't like the ape hangers, not my style, but
the bars on this bike aren't quite as high as the one you're riding, and this feels really nice.
Yeah, but that said, they're not crazy high bars. It's still comfortable to ride. Just kind of let your arms hang there, and the seating position is really nice. Like Marissa said, very comfortable seat, very good seating position. A lot of bikes like this, I find that my hips kind of rotate under and puts a lot of pressure on my lower back, but this bike is not like that. It's very good riding.
Yeah, this will be comfortable for long days. I can already tell. You know, sometimes when you're sitting in one position all day, you know, not really able to move around a lot, your hips and knees and everything can kind of start getting stiff. But I mean, I can kind of rotate my hips up and, you know, sit a little more upright. I can kind of lean back a little bit. It cups the back of the butt nicely. You've got plenty of room on these floorboards to move your feet around. So I think this is definitely a bike that I could get on and ride all day long for days and days and days with no problem.
For sure. So the direct competitor for the motorcycle that I'm on is the Indian Challenger. And I gotta say, at first impressions anyway, this is more comfortable than the Indian Challenger, but it's certainly not as rowdy. The Indian Challenger is rowdy.
Definitely the case.
And so we touched on it a little bit on the interstate, but the suspension on this bike is really nice. They've increased the height, so they gained about an inch, and they've reworked it completely, valving wise, and it does a great job. It doesn't dive too much under braking. It handles great while also being supple and comfortable. It's really well done, really well compromised.
Yeah, I mean, it feels really good through these corners, and you know, we're on a demo loop with the Harley-Davidson dealership group, so we're not exactly you know, putting the bike through its paces. We're just going for a little cruise, but so far it's tracking really well through these corners. You know, especially for being as big and heavy as it is, you'd think you'd have to give it a little bit more input going through each corner, but so far that's not been the case. It's been very easy to ride.
So speaking of weight, these bikes, both of these bikes are down in weight from last year's model. This bike, I believe, is 18 pounds lighter, and Marissa's bike, I believe, is 16 pounds lighter. Most of that has been made up for in the fork bridge, or the triple clamps, as a lot of people call them. Those are aluminum. Those are constructed of aluminum now. And to pick it up off the side stand, it does feel a little lighter than last year's model. But yeah, overall good improvements. And speaking of improvements, both of these bikes cost less than 2023's models.
Yeah, so in the past, the Street Glide and the Road Glide, there's been multiple versions. I think they had 3 different versions of each bike, not including the CVOs. And for 2024, they have changed that up a bit. So as far as the regular non-CVO versions of these bike goes, there's only one. So there's just the standard Street Glide, the standard Road Glide, and pricing on that starts at $25,999. Now, what dealerships are doing is pre-accessorizing, so you may see sticker prices that are a little bit more than that based on what a dealership decides to do to the bikes that are on their showroom floor. But as far as ordering a stock Road Glide, a stock Street Glide, it's starting right there at the 26 mark. So that's a considerable improvement over the pricing of previous year models. That makes it a little more accessible to more riders, and honestly, it's something that Harley has needed to do for a while. Bringing these prices down, making bikes more accessible to more people. Now, of course, there is still the CVO models, which the pricing on those start around $42,000, and there's all kinds of upgrades associated with that. We won't get into all the details of the CVO models for this test ride because we're not on a CVO, but the option is still there if you want to go with the super high option bike. But for someone who's just looking to get into a brand new Street Glide, a brand new Road Glide, you're looking at $25,999 starting price, and I mean they're pretty much ready to go. One of the things that they have improved for this year model over the previous year models is how much storage capacity the side bags have. So even though this bike doesn't come with the big touring pack and everything as standard, it does come with the hard bags on the side. They're a little bit shorter but a little bit wider, makes it a little bit easier to pack into. And let me tell you, we opened them up just a few minutes ago to look down in there, and you can really pack for a week or 2 at a time just in the side bags.
Depending on how much you think you need to carry with you, but I would be good for a week or 2.
Right. So yeah, I mean, lots of good updates on the new Street Glide, on the new Road Glide. I think they feel great. I'm really excited this summer. We're doing a tour with Roadrunner magazine where we'll be riding these motorcycles on the entire Route 66. So pay attention over at Roadrunner. You'll see that editorial coming out in 2025. But after having done a little test loop on these bikes, I'm actually really stoked about that ride.
Yeah, I can't wait. Y'all, I gotta call back to the transmission. Like I said, I've ridden a lot of Harleys over the years, and they don't have bad transmissions, but this is a definite improvement. Shifts very smooth. It doesn't feel as kind of clunky. That thing sounds good. It's very smooth, like when you get going. Obviously it's a Harley, so when you're stopped it's kind of potato, it's lopey, but when you get going it's real smooth. And the suspension, y'all, it's just great. It's very well tuned as well, so you might notice at red lights when we're pulling up and slowing down at a red light, it's very planted, very stable. It doesn't want to wander around too bad. It's very well done.
We just went over those train tracks, and those are notoriously bumpy train tracks. I hardly felt anything under this bike. I mean, the suspension is fantastic. I'm probably the most blown away with how the suspension and handling feels versus what I was expecting.
Just closing words here. I love the Indian Challenger, and I was expecting it to just keep blowing this bike out of the water like it used to, but that's not the case, y'all. This is a fantastic motorcycle. We're here at Bumpus, and they've been kind enough to put this event on for us. we're pulling back in, and that's going to do it for us.
Awesome ride.